Today's episode of Tech versus Admin, we're going to answer the age-old question of why does it take so long to fix my equipment when it goes down? Radiology administration. Hey, boss. Just want to let you know CT2 is down. Did you place a ticket? No, not yet. I just want to give you a heads up first. Alrighty. Thanks for letting me know. Radiology administration. Hey, boss. I broke CT2 again. Yeah, hasn't been PM'd all year, and I'm too busy to do fast calcs or tube warm-ups. Expect productivity to drop by 50% until it's fixed. Hey, Bob, you still got those plant cards? Time for some Jim Rummy. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Radiology administration. Hey, boss, CT2 is down. If you'd have upgraded like I've been trying to tell you the last 2 years, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Did you do all the footwork to get it fixed so I don't have to do it? Yeah, it's on my list. Lord knows if I want it done right, I better do it myself. Radiology administration. Hey, boss. CT2 is showing an error code 503. Just want to let you know this seems to be a repeat issue. I placed a repair ticket, notified Biomed. I also logged in our own internal logs to keep running tabs on the machine for future issues. Is this going to affect our patient volumes at all or inconvenience any of the patients? No workarounds really needed. We expect a slow next couple of days. Our other scanner can handle the volume. Sounds good. I've already got it on capital for replacement. So as you may or may not know, getting anything through a capital committee is a pain. Usually the way it works is if it's under $5,000, the administrator can just take care of the PO or issue payment directly without going through a committee. But if it's over 5,000, it has to be written up on certain forms or documents. It has to be submitted. It has to go before at least one committee, if not several. And then, of course, if it's over $500,000 or more, there's a project capital or whatever your local facility calls it. But it's a whole different process for larger capital items. And CT scanners and all MRIs, IR rooms, PET scanners, nuke med scanners, all that is pushing 500,000 and over. So it's a big hassle getting equipment. I get that it takes a while, and I know that techs don't often see that side of it. Believe me, we don't like it either. I wish I could just say, hey, it's broke. Can we replace it and get the money issued the next day? But so here's one example of a document. This is kind of the first step, just to give you an insight into what a manager has to do to request new equipment. Once it's determined that new equipment is needed, a capital equipment form has to be filled out. And this is a generic form. I have it copy and pasted into my Paint program just to show you without any names or anything on it. But it starts out with the location of where it's going to go and the requesting department, your department number and all that stuff. And is it a part of your company's group purchasing organization or the GPO? To be part of GPO, which does save you a lot of money, you have to buy 80% of your items from the GPO. So it's important that you try to stay on contract with those purchases. Then you have to write down the equipment specifications, how many you want, what it is, who makes it, what's the model and the vendor. And then any attachments that come with it, like an MRI would need coils. You have to describe a manufacturer catalog number. And then section 3 does operating supplies. Are there patient chargeables? Is there stuff that you have to store in-house? What are the item names and catalog numbers? And what are the warranty information and maintenance contract that comes with it? Part 6 is it a rental or a lease agreement or a purchase option? You have to write that down. And then Part 7, are plant operations involved? Are they going to have to do any construction? If yes, by who? Is there plumbing involved? Mechanical modifications? Is the installation required internally, or is the vendor going to do it? What are the space requirements? Are there drawings provided? Who's doing the electrical? And then number 8, finally justify the purchase with one single line. Of course, I always add a report along with this that goes into much more detail on the return on investment and why we need it. But then here's the beauty of it at the bottom. Then you have to go around and get 6 signatures from everybody to approve just to turn it in. In other words, I have to go to my boss and say, boss, I need this new CT scanner, and explain to them why. And if they're on board, they'll sign it and date it. And then I have to go to clinical engineering and say, guys, I got to buy a new CT scanner. Do you have any questions? And they'll ask all their questions to fill in this information up here. And when they're satisfied, they sign. Same with clinical engineering and facilities engineering. And then you got to get your finance guy to sign off on it. Then you got to get IT to sign off on it. Then there's an executive leader or a VP that'll sign off, and then finally the final administrator. And once all this is signed, then it starts going through all the committees that vote on, is this more important than what's needed at the other facility, or is this more important than what's needed over in respiratory? You have to compete against all the other local asks, and if you're in a system, you compete against the system asks, and then they score these things. Where I was at, there was 4 different scoring categories. There was it a patient safety issue? Was it a mandate, say by the CMS or somebody? Was there financial impact? Are we losing money because we don't have it? And so they have these different categories that people outside of imaging are ranking your item on, and then they take that total score, put it in a list with the 800 other things that everybody else is asking for in the hospital. And that's where sometimes we lose the fight, is other people are a squeakier wheel, or maybe it's somebody like surgery who always gets everything they want versus imaging kind of getting the leftovers. So this is just the start of the battle. And then when it goes through the committees, if you do make it all the way through the committees, then you still have to do all the construction pre-planning, get all the licensure, get all the teams together, set up education for the technologists on getting trained. So it's a good year-long project. So I hope this sheds a little more light on it for you. I think the best thing a tech can do in these situations is obviously report that it's down. But before you call and make that report, think through a couple of other things, like, is it going to affect patient flow? If you have 2 CT scanners and one is down, is the other CT scanner going to be able to handle the volume until the next one gets fixed? Good seasoned techs know how long roughly things are down. You know when a tube burns out, you know how long that takes to repair. You know when you get an unknown error code. I recommend contacting your field service rep, tell them what your code is. Hopefully they can just modem in on the machine and diagnose it on the spot and let you know how long it's going to take. But think about what disruption it's going to cause and put the ticket in right away to get that process started. Then notify your manager that it's down, and you've notified Biomed, and you might even have an idea of how long it'll be down for. And then it's up to the manager to stay on top of the process and make sure it's getting repaired in a timely manner. If you don't see a timely response from Biomed, you need to let your manager know that it's not moving along at the rate that you think it should be, or any other concerns you might have. As long as both sides work together, it can be a pretty smooth process. A good administrator should know when the end of life of a product is. Most of these items are 10 years, 12 years. CT scanners, at 7 years, you start mentioning that you want a new one. At 10 years, you start begging for a new one, and you go past that, you're really scanning on borrowed time. So with both sides working together, you should be able to keep everything up and running most of the time. And with a good biomed department, on-site biomed department, you should be able to get things back up quickly. If you're going through a third-party vendor, it could take longer. That's a whole nother issue. But I hope this helps shed some light on what you can do as a tech to make things go smoother, and a little bit from the side of the administration and what they have to do to jump through the hoops to get it approved. And of course, there's always times when you know you need it and the admin proves you need it and you still don't get the money, and you just got to keep limping along. I think we're going to see more and more of that as time goes by, with the way they're starting to squeeze these departments farther and farther. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe and like the video. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them for you.